Okay, how's everybody doing here on this fine Sunday? It's Big Jonas here coming to you live. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Um, we haven't talked in a while, and we've definitely had a very interesting week of Bitcoin price action. I'm on the 30-minute chart here. We can see just very interesting price moves, lots of patterns we can discuss. Remember, guys, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Big Jonas. Always find me at the fluxtradinggroup.com. www.fluxtradinggroup.com. If you want to support this channel, please check out my affiliate links in the section below. Always appreciate your support. If you want to do a little leverage trading, my Dudex affiliate link. If you want to do just spot trading, I have an eToro link there. Link to the website for Flux Trading Group. And if you are in need of a VPN, you can also choose that one as well. And of course, follow me on Twitter. Remember to hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate your support on this YouTube channel, and definitely subscribe. Hope everybody's enjoying their Thanksgiving week, and maybe we're enjoying some football today. Maybe we're preparing for a snowstorm. Raise your hand. And that's kind of what's going on in my life right now. Very excited. This is December. I got a bunch of things in the works that I'm very excited to kind of get moving forward with over the next several weeks. And really excited to see what the new year brings. This has been a very interesting year of Bitcoin price action, being from the lows to the highs and now kind of back to a middle somewhere in between here. So let's talk about it. Appreciate your support. So 30-minute chart. This is where we are right here as we start the show. Boom. And I'll keep the color red because we're back to $7,300. Now, in the recent history, $7,300 was our neckline. Pretty much confirmed inverse head and shoulder support here. We have our left shoulder, we have our head, we have our right shoulder, and this formed to combine very consistent resistance, which we can see, basically put us in a zone of around 73.80 to as low as 72.50. So a good $100 area there of resistance that was consistently being hit by Bitcoin price action. We can also see this one area here at 73.80 was very good support in this 30-minute candle here. We actually had a very nice bounce from that. That was a $300 bounce there when this particular area was initially touched. So it was a little bit of support and then significant resistance. We were able to break out of it. We actually back tested it here. And that was a very important candle there because it allowed that support to extend to the upper reach here of our Now, this is what this is. So it's a diagonal. Now, the question is it a leading diagonal or is it an ending diagonal? The principles of this are very clear. We have our first impulsive, second impulsive, third impulsive, fourth pullback, and our final fifth one here. Um, And if we look at this from an extension standpoint, top of wave one through the bottom of wave two, and we have wave three here surpassing the one-to-one extension of one, making it basically a valid wave three. And then we have our fifth wave extension here, which we can calculate from our wave three extension compared to our wave four pullback. And that literally hit just a hair below the golden pocket, or at least the 618, which is a perfect way to end this diagonal here. Now we're pulling back from that. We're having to retrace from this. So not only are we finding our horizontal support there, but we are also basically seeing that. So not only that sounds pretty good. We are also seeing that the pullback is in progress here. So although we are finding this horizontal support right at our neckline, and actually I do want to keep that more or less here. Now I'd say we're not necessarily resisting it because I will give this neckline deference to basically here, where we actually have had these two, well, multiple lower wicks, the pullback here, and so far, we are holding that slight higher low. Now this can definitely be changed. Excuse me, I'm drinking coffee here. Um, by determining how extensive this pullback is going to be. So we're basically taking a fib from our swing low to our swing high here of our entire range, and this has basically consorted us to determining where we're going to look for these pullbacks overall here. And this is something that we want to assess which fib ranges are acting as support. So for now, we did find initial support on the 236. We broke it, we back tested it, and look at that beautiful rejection here. So, a little support, there's the resistance. We're going to make you red. We came down again. We failed once again to find that initial support on the 382. We're under it, bounced above it, and now we've lost it again. So now the 382 at 3760, sorry, 7360, depending upon which exchange you're on, is basically where we're at the resistance area there. So where are we looking to next? Well, the 55 is at 71, which means the 50 is a little above 71, 50 or 60. And then our golden pocket there area of support is basically that last area. Here, make this better. That next area down, which would kind of be an interesting and ultimate target you want to see hold. That's literally right at 7K. Now, this kind of reminds me of something, and we'll get to it in a little bit. A previous time where we basically did have some sort of a leading diagonal, and we actually were able to get as low as the 78%. Um, and then find that advancement there. So we have our local lows, okay? Our local low and where Bitcoin has found support is $6,500. Now, why $6,500? Why $6,500? Well, if you've been playing Bitcoin for at least a year and a half here, go to the 3-day chart so you can kind of extend here. $6,500 rings a lot of history in my head here. And the reason that area is so interesting is because let me get this right to about yay. And here, let's clear the coin here and start fresh. Is $6,500 on November 6th of 2018 was the last pump, the last little bit of bullish attempt before Bitcoin sank and sank hard. And that was literally the high of the day there was 65.40, and the low of the day here was 65.26. So let's call it a $15-$20, or at least a break of that support, but basically there. I'm on the Coinbase exchange. I'm sure other exchanges were there more or less, and that's interesting because this little area here, the $6,500 rejection, And let's face it, Bitcoin had been in the $6,500 range numerous times. This guy right here, tremendous bounce, 6,500 all the way up to, almost 10K again, almost 10K again. And then it was support, resistance, support, resistance. So boom, our first touch. And listen, on the 3-day chart, these are some nice looking wicks here. Look at these lower wicks here. Okay, there's buyers here. And this third attempt here actually had that nice little spike higher there. So we have buying capacity. We have a liquidity pool here that so far is holding as low as $6,500. And this is a very important area of Bitcoin price action at $6,500 here because it can represent several things here. It can represent the continuation. Okay, you could argue there's some sort of, I mean, again, it's a subjective where you go here. We could definitely still be on this area of support. I want to zoom out here. Can we find a logarithmic, hold here, lower wicks, lower wicks? Yeah, something like that, maybe. Maybe even as high as here. Okay, that is still showing us, you know, that we're still good, right? We found support here. We were way above it. We came back down. We found support again, and we're finding support again. So there are 3 points in this chart here that are lining up. Um, but that's the situation that was like kind of this clutching at straws. Are we thinking of this in terms of, okay, well, we're all good here because we're still here? A bouncing ball bounces very high and it comes back down because of gravity. And then it extends itself with a lower high and hitting that gravity again. And this is important because when we keep hitting this line, these bounces need to keep moving us forward. Now, it could be argued that this line has actually already been broken, and maybe we're just back testing it again. We're on the underside, touch here, closer here. We actually did break this line previously, beginning of the year here. It rose up, had the initial bounce on the back test was this candle here, end of October. And now we're just back testing it. And not only are we back testing it, but we just got hella rejected on it on the back end there. Okay, so these lines, which we see all over crypto Twitter, they're great, but they're all subjective. You can definitely find a narrative. But either way you slice it, we're getting closer to losing that bullish narrative. Okay, we're either on the underside of this line or we're bound support again and we're just holding, but we're not really that far off yet. Okay, that's how I see these longer term lines here. I can go, with the BLX chart, and that can really even do, more play around with that. The overall structure is we're still putting in this lower high, okay, from the all-time highs of Bitcoin. I can move this as a Fibonacci retracement. Okay, now where are we seeing support? Well, that's pretty cool. These wicks here are in the golden pocket. You know, they are in the 61.8. We broke above, and look where we're at right now. Look where we're at right this moment. Can we zoom in here? Let's get the zoom going. Literally, we are finding support at the 618, which is around $6,200 and change. So that's our current way. We hold that, zoom back to the moon, because we're found that retracement. This is a healthy retrace, right? Nasty, painful, right? We've fallen, um, 47% from our highs here. That's significant. That does hurt. And if you bought down here, you're still all right. I mean, gave a lot back, but we're still in profit. Maybe I'm buying more now or I'm hodling more Bitcoin now because, I used to have to pay over 10 grand for it, and now I'm at a 30% discount. It's all relative, based on your time frame, your philosophy, your goals, and most importantly, your risk tolerance. Where if you see this as a value, a Bitcoin price action, if you think we're heading into May and the halving, uh, where the intrinsic value of Bitcoin will be enhanced because of the inflation rate will basically drop to something around 2%, a little less, which in itself is very significant. Less Bitcoin is being produced. But remember, between now and May, there will be 300,000 new Bitcoin minted, um, until then. So there'll be 300,000 more Bitcoin coming onto the market, needs to be absorbed. And that does put downward price pressure, inflationary price pressure on Bitcoin, until we get to May, and then that amount of Bitcoin produced in the next mine in the next, 4 or 5 months. Now it's 300,000 plus. The 3 months after the halving will be a lot less. So that does change the dynamic, in terms of valuing and creating a value for Bitcoin. So the next several months are going to be very exciting. Very exciting. I was not trading Bitcoin on the previous halving, which happened sometime back here somewhere. Um, but definitely, the history does say that we are in. Actually, let me go to where's BLX? So, history does say that we are always in an uptrend, but Bitcoin's always been in an uptrend. I mean, we say, Bitcoin's been in an uptrend every time there's been a halving, but there's been two halvings, and um, uh, Bitcoin's been in an uptrend basically its entire life. So that is true, but not necessarily, post hoc ergo propter hoc. So, as they might say. So let's get back to Bitcoin. Let's go back to Coinbase. And listen, I'm not using Coinbase because I love Coinbase or am promoting it, as an exchange or anything. I'm using it mostly and I'll switch back from Bitstamp, which can also be, I want to use spot trading prices. I could do a whole thing on XBT and how the candle wicks do play out very differently, and they have a lot to do with when you're leverage trading. It's very important where those wicks begin and end. But just to keep an overall basic retail organic, I'll just stick with this for now. I want to look at a couple indicators on the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. And the monthly is important because we just closed out a month. So just real quick here, OBV is more or less in line with the price action. We are still overall in the channel, right? And but we are definitely hovering above our middle channel area there. Daily RSI, okay, this is important. We are right at 37. Now, again, this is the pullback, okay? I want us to get above 50. We can see that kind of resistance there, but we can also see that the arc of the RSI is still, it's still on this downward trajectory here where we're seeing this negative continuing to fall, and we're not really seeing that direction change yet. There's running room out still, you know, um, but something like that. But until we break this curve here, um, I'm still seeing this as a decline, and we basically see when we have our ascent on our RSI, it can look like this, like a channel, and then when we have our declines, it basically does put in these lower highs here, which basically signal the bear market. There's the decline, there's the expansion, there's the decline again, and that's the daily RSI by Big Jonas. This is our daily soak. We have running room to get up here. We have not bear crossed yet, but getting a little closer on a pinch. We have done a very nice run here over the past several days. And we could be putting in, just to keep this in mind here, this could be a lower low, sorry, a lower high here if this is where, and I like to watch the trailing indicator here. It's more of a conservative indicator that will get more data to show. So if this one can't breach this resistance here, I look for that rejection there. And now we have running room lower if we aren't able to break this and get that next bullish push. But this run has allowed this to come all the way back up with now $700 up from then. So CMF, this is actually bullish. First time in a while here. CMF is above our zero line. That's good, except that, as you can see, we are literally, I'd say, yeah, we're like literally right there on the line. And we are finding that resistance there. So, very key area here. The CMF can do two things here. It can break through and it can accelerate up. And that's something because this has been in such a negative way for basically all the month of November thereafter. We had that push there. So, hey, 69 of my closest friends watching this only have, what, 8 thumbs up? Let's hit that thumbs up button if you guys are enjoying spending some time with me here on a Sunday. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Philison. Hey, Luda Fuchuti. Hey, Andre. Hey, Robin. Ciao, Bella. Hey, L1AM44 Connor. Hey, SS Swartz 88. Hey, Vedette Yeomans. Hey, Doxy, what's up? Hey, Cornholio. Hey, CCK. Hey, Mattis. Hey, Hans. What's up, AD? It's nice you guys to join me here on a Saturday. Um, Appreciate that. Hey, King Zhong. Uh, I don't know. But 71 of my closest friends here got 12 thumbs up. I got one thumbs down. Who are you? Ah, there's 20. All right, there's a little push there. Much appreciated, guys. Remember, today I'd rather be outside, but looks like we're going to get some snow. So I'm inside with here with you guys talking about Bitcoin. Let's keep it moving. And lastly, here on MACD, this is actually very interesting here. We were very oversold. We've come up. We're literally smushed here on the resistance. Both are indicators here. And we're still in the negative here. Okay, this has not really blown our socks off here. Again, another opportunity to start pushing this guy up here, this histogram up, right? But we're still getting the bear cross rejection. And until this crosses with that bullish, but again, we're right there, that's where the bulls, this is their opportunity to basically step in. Otherwise, this resistance is still considered very notable here. And lastly, this is actually something I'm paying a lot more attention to. There's a lot of funding rate indicators out there. This is one of them. Definitely interesting. What this basically shows is which side of the market the money's on right now. When we were leveraged, when there were more longs out there, after we had the Bitcoin spike to 10K for that moment, we basically saw the long side increase their positions that slowly began to dwindle. Now the shorts, so the market is basically net short still, and that can be a counter trading indicator to show that you get them out of their trades by continuing to pump the market there and push bullish. So because of that, this is still just a pullback from a rising wedge, which could definitely be a leading first wave. Now we've seen this a couple times here. We had something very similar here, where we had this was a little tighter. Where's my, but here was our um, rising wedge here. We did have our impulsive move here, 3, 4, 5. This was a very bullish one. Um, and then we can see when we do a fib here of what actually happened and found support. Um, Actually, that was a little lower right there. We found support and actually did a little back test on it twice right in the golden pocket. So this is another example where we have a nice run here, 5 waves up, a pretty nasty pullback. This one actually happened very fast. A little consolidation, look on the upside, look on the downside. Looks like we're about to fall apart. Find support again in the golden pocket zone, and then onward and upward Bitcoin ran. And then when we compare that to kind of where we are here, as we talked about earlier in the show, something kind of shaped similarly. It's not the same structure, On the daily, that was more of a clearer picture. This is still very, it shows this all happened much faster. But again, a similarity would play out where this can still go a lot lower, back to 7K even, and do a very similar um, retracement here. As you can see, this time it's happening on a much quicker um, time frame because of the shape of it. And one more, I thought, right? Yeah, I think that was the one. Yeah, this was the one. No, it was another one, I thought. Where did that go? Oh yeah, it was right. It was right here. Yeah, I remember this one here. Yeah, this one was kind of similar too, where we had this rising wedge, um, and then we had the pullback, and this was an area where the pullback once again got lower than the, it's same wicks here, a little lower, but never lost that golden pocket, and was able to put in a higher high there. So we've seen this before. Bearish price action leading diagonal, bearish price action, bullish leading diagonal, rough pullback, rough pullback, rough pullback, and then onward and upward we go. So, there could still be running room to pull back. The market needs to be convinced that this actually is a meaningful area of support. And, onward and upward we could definitely go. Who else came in to say hi? CT, Jake, what's up, Jake? Hey, Christopher. Hey, Sergeant Hyde. Yes, notable day indeed. Uh, Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, so I want to do a little just monthly chart here. Um, we did start a brand new month of Bitcoin price action, um, and for that, actually, I do want to go to BLX because that will give me a lot of history. So, a couple things to note. I did put out two tweets on Twitter about this. Bitcoin moves in parabolic moves, or it moves in channel consolidation. And historically, we've had parabolic move, channel consolidation, higher high, higher all time high. Parabolic move, channel consolidation, parabolic move, higher all time high. Channel consolidation, parabolic move, lower high, no all time high. So this is the first time where we have had a major corrective move followed by a clear parabolic move, followed by a clear corrective move where we didn't establish a new all-time high in Bitcoin price action. To have kept that trend, Bitcoin would have had to keep running to over $20,000. And it didn't. So this is the first time it's ever happened in these moves here. Basically, since Bitcoin was, let's call it, over $10, or at least over $4. I mean, there were a few earlier on where it went up a little higher and down lower, but still, um, this is really the real, more meaningful stuff here. And again, there's our shoulder, there's our neckline, and we're trying to hold it. So fingers crossed, right? Um, and listen, I'm still under the assumption that we are going to go lower. We don't have to go back to 3K. We may have found support. We may have to go to the 5Ks to find that support. But whether it's a inverse chart, it still feels like we're kind of find that area there. But we can still come back down and hit our lower bar. We're just not seeing that yet. And just one more thing about the Bollinger Bands. We're still incredibly wide here on the monthly Bollinger Bands. There's still so much room to go sideways and to tighten our Bollinger Bands. And the Bollinger Bands have been wide at some points through Bitcoin history, but nothing like they are currently right there. Um, so just a couple things to just real quick here. These are the EMAs that I like to use. I'm on the log scale. we can see we've actually never bearishly crossed these. There was our bull cross 2015, our entire bear market of 2018. They literally never bearishly crossed. We've literally never entered a bear cross in this cycle, um, like we did here, where they did bear cross, but didn't get too spread, and then the bull cross was that official, um, signal on the highest of time frames, the monthly, that the bear market at that moment was over. And because we haven't bear crossed it yet here, yes, this could be incredibly bullish, and yes, we have found support on the first monthly touch ish on the EMA 26, but I still think these are going to cross before we end up hitting all-time highs again. I really do. And for that to happen, over the next several months, Bitcoin would basically be drifting lower here, where our red one would begin to get a little more sideways and maybe somewhere in February or so, but then the price action would have to be somewhere down in the 5Ks and lower than both of these, basically losing that EMA 26 support there. So that's the bearish scenario if the EMAs aren't supporting the hold there. We are Our volume's been consistent. Look, our volume's been more or less consistent over the past several months, but Bitcoin keeps on dwindling lower and dwindling lower and looking for new money to come into the market there. But for now, EMA 26 support, EMA 12 was the resistance. So now we are under the 12. This is notable. This is the first time we closed below the 12 since March of 2019. This was our first break and close above. We back tested on the monthly, the 26th, and then boom. We held it, intramonth break, intramonth close below, below $7,700 there. And that's important. That's notable. Monthly Ichimoku, again, this is 20, 61, 120, 30 adjusted settings. We closed below Tenkan-sen, below Kaijin-sen, and we can see our cloud span really doesn't act as any kind of meaningful support. Um, it could be, depends when it hits it. It could be February. It comes down here. Well, I don't think it'll come down that low that quickly, but we basically be looking for hitting this or holding this support above 10K. And look where the cloud span actually acts as support. It's just literally right after the halving there. So that's interesting. Triple moving averages, MA50, still down around under 5K, and will be so over the next several months. That's the nearest very long moving average of support. TD, we on a red 3. Now this is important because this is a red 3 closing below a red 2. This on the monthly time frame can indicate a short entry, because when you have, again, the 2 didn't give us that entry because it was a red 2 closing above a red 1. But now we have a red 3 closing below a red 2, below a red 1, and this can now signal a continuation of this here, as long as Bitcoin in December closes below 1, 2, 3, 4, below $9,400. We're basically going to be looking at the red 4 continuation there. This does vary slightly if you use Heikin-Ashi. We're actually only starting on a red 2 right here. And notice the Heikin-Ashi, let me go to this one. There you go. You notice the Heikin-Ashi did call the nut top on the 9 monthly and the nut bottom on the 9 monthly as well. So this has been very accurate, at least in this last top and bottom call. And we can see that, again, there was our very tight doji, exactly what you're looking for. Look how tight that is. That was just a tremendous reversal signal that Bitcoin was going to reverse off of the previous trend, which was very bearish. But now we are still in a very bearish Heikin-Ashi candle formation over the past several months here. Um, that would be, yeah, for that one. And then lastly here, let's do the Bollinger Bands. So go back to linear. So, we did find that support when we did break the middle BB for the first time this month. But I mean, I did put a tweet out about this, and I was actually corrected that the lower Bollinger Band has actually never been touched on the monthly, going all the way back. We came close here in August of 2015, never touched it, right? And it was regaining that middle BB support, regaining it after losing it. Remember, we lost it here. Okay, we lost it. See how wide the Bollingers were here? We lost the middle BB. We back tested it. We got rejected, and we stayed below it for almost a year. You fast forward to where we are now. We lost middle BB. We back tested it. We rejected it. Stayed under it. Popped through it. Triple resistance, upper Bollinger, first touch of middle BB finding that support. And this is a narrative here where we hold that support and we keep rocking higher. And that is achieved with support of around 7K on the monthly closing candles. That middle Bollinger would prove to be significant. We close a month below 7K. And yeah, I would talk that. I would set that up. I would consider the potential that this lower BB can be touched for the first time in monthly history, and that's something that I have at the back of my head. Now that's at $2,500, and it is slowly rising. If Bitcoin fell another month here, a little bit lower, these would start to tighten, and that would be definitely something that can definitely happen there. Oscillators are oscillators. So let's just go back to some near-term price action, and I will wrap it up. Again, guys, this is Big Jonas hanging out with you on a Sunday, wherever you guys are. Um, Getting a little snowstorm, first of the year, always interesting. Everybody's at the supermarket stocking up. Um, got my rock salt, got my shovels. So got my snow blower. I started a couple days ago. Had to put the rider mower away. Um, but here comes winter. Let's let's get after it. So we close our week out tonight, today, 5 hours, a little under 5 hours from now. This is our weekly candle. Finding lower BB support. All right, you gotta like that, right? Uh, Starting with a started the week with a red two. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got to get way higher to make this not be a red two. But we have started a new bearish count here on the countdown. Um, Look at this confluence here. It's been a while since the price action has been this close on the weekly to both the 50 and the 100. I mean, it's like I bet you it'd be on Bitstamp would have that, right? Yeah, they were a lot closer back in 15, 16, right there, right? Look at this. Look at this. Bull cross there, but not really with the same. Yeah, look at that. This is really kind of unprecedented here. We have never seen the 50 and the 100 be so close to the price action. Um, Very interesting here. And listen, like 50 goes over, it's subjective here. It's very subjective here because these are so close. And you could kind of argue it both ways. The 50 is moving faster, but the 100 is definitely kind of falling into it harder because of the rapid flow of that. So this could be a very strong resistance area with the confluence of these two moving averages at $7,300. or act as a very strong support area with a close above both of them. So again, very interesting area here in the mid 7Ks. And of course, um, the weekly MA200 is right around 5K, and we all remember how important the MA200 was. Look at that, of holding this market up, right? Unbelievable. I mean, how isn't it not inevitable that the red MA200 and the price action are going to touch at some point in the not too distant future? I mean, it's just inevitable, right? Somewhere in the future, there's going to touch. You know, the only thing that can prevent that at this point is Bitcoin really just taking off here. But it just feels like they're going to touch again in the next few months. But we shall see indeed. All right, 40 minutes. Gonna go watch some football, make something to eat. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's Big Chonas. Remember, check me on Twitter at Big Chonas. Remember to hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate your support. Follow me. Remember to hit those affiliate links if you want to support this channel. Working on some great stuff over the next several weeks, hoping to get things moving forward. This market is still very volatile. There's not a lot of retail yet, the way we had seen it in the past. Um, Many things can happen here. There are many positive things we can definitely stick to and hold on to about what's happening with Bitcoin, with crypto in general. But 2020 is really going to be a defining year for crypto, the legitimacy of a lot of these projects, valuations that we're seeing that are still incredibly high, still, you know, hundreds of millions still on some projects that are basically hard to understand what they are. They're going to have to prove themselves because the money is flowing into areas now. We're seeing it of projects that have actual more potential to be meaningful and actually hold some more intrinsic value. And I think that's what's going to happen this year. And Bitcoin, we're going to really see if this is just a bubble, a hyperwave, if you will, a massive, you know, ABC correction. Um, you know, there was our B wave, and we're in our C wave here. And that C wave could be truncated, it could be flat, or it could be this expansion here. And that expansion, you know, could literally take us to any kind of a ratio as low as 618, 786, which would be $1,000. 618, 4,000, 5.5, still around 5K. And that kind of puts us a little bit below, but in the area of where the MA200 would be in the coming future here. So all these questions are going to be answered in the next several months here. And I think as we get closer to the halving, the truth of the narrative that Bitcoin always is in an uptrend because of that will definitely get more exciting and more relevant. And in these volatile moves and interesting price action as a trader, there's always opportunities. We judge our risk tolerance and we decide to make plays based on how we trade and our style of trading to maximize and to not get wrecked. So stay safe out there. Remember to always use stop loss. This is Big Jonas. Have a great Sunday. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We'll stay in touch. Talk to you soon in the month of December as we get you ready for 2020. Peace. Goodbye. Thank you very much. Thumbs up.